Hello, today I'm going to show you how to make one of these cup koozie things for a 16-ounce travel coffee cup. And you don't really need too much yarn for this. Altogether, you only need this. It's about the size, roughly the size of a tennis ball or so. And you start off by casting on 52 stitches. And after you cast on your 52 stitches, you slip 17 onto 3 of these needles, or to 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. And there should be 18 stitches on this final needle. So now, find the correct end, right there like that. Put these together like so. There we go. And your first row, you knit . And just do that all the way around. You need to adjust my height here, I think. Then when you've finished this first row, knit all the way back around to that loose end, you pull that over and start purling. Because this is made in stockinette, which tends to twist, and the small garter stitch rows help keep it from doing that. And this particular pattern that I'm showing you will work with, is designed for like this striped one, but it also works quite well in a couple others, like there's 3 colors, half and half, or 1 full color. And I've got the pattern, of course, in the description. knit another row. And pretty much all the rest will be knitted as well. It will be knitted up until the end, which will have one more purl row for the same reason as the first. This is knitted from the top down. And for the stripes, after you finish that third needle, you attach your yarn, like so. Get that up. And then pull the center extra to the center. And then keep knitting. Then you, this pattern is 3 rounds for each stripe. So you'll have 3 of this color, then go back to the dark, 3 of the darker green, and then 3 more of this lighter green. And the second of this color will have a little bit of a change in the stitching pattern. So I will see you then. Okay, so here is where the change is, and it's basically just a decrease. It'll be decreasing 3 times, 1 stitch per needle, and I like to have it about halfway, like roughly halfway, or midway on each needle, roughly, which is a knit 2 together. I pick that. And you, of course, can choose where you put it, but I am do mine in the middle. And 3 decreases per each of these decrease rows. And the third and final row for this particular section of stripe is just a plain knit. There's no decreases or anything. And I should have mentioned that this particular decrease row was row 11, or round. And I'll have do another color switch, and I will tell you when to decrease again. And here's the second decrease row. It's basically the middle of a 9 stitch or 9 row gap, and just basically repeat the process as with this first one. Knit about halfway to make your decrease wherever you want it. Halfway the needle for me, and there we go. And we'll have another 3 stitch decrease a bit later on. It's basically around that same spot as with the top. And here is the final decrease row of the entire project, or decrease round. And I think I forgot to mention that the one here in the middle was row 11. And so this one is row 23. I've got my camera balanced on a tent lunchbox. That's what the needle keeps hitting. That's what that noise is. And here, we actually have a little bit of a deviation again, but instead of a decrease, it's the number of rows. Instead of going for 3 rows here, we're actually knitting 2, and then going to the purl row, then knit row. And yeah. And here's the purl row. And do one more knit and then bind off. Yeep. I don't like purling sometimes. Sometimes the loop doesn't go over all the way. Okay, so we finish up our final knitting row. Start binding off. Knit 2 stitches, then put this one over, and just keep repeating that over and over. And we basically weave in our ends. And I usually wrap this around a few times to help it sort of stay together a little better. To me, it looks neater. 2 or 3 times. Oops. Do it on both ends. The bind off ends tends to be a bit messier than the cast on, typically, from what I've seen, maybe in my experience. that's not the case for you, you can just not do it. And turn all of this inside out so you can get rid of these extra bits. And with these stripes, they're small enough I can pretty much just tie them up like so on both sides, like for each end, like that. And then trim them off. Keep it kind of short, but not too short that they'll come undone. And if you decide to have it a little more like this or this with no straps, here's another way. Basically just sort of going into one of those lumps there, then skip a few, and then do it again. And just keep going on, pretty much all the way to wherever the to where these are, where that color changes. Then you can basically just tie them off together like that. And don't do it too tight, otherwise it won't fit. There we go. And the ridge, skip a few, ridge, skip a few.